Dace Kidd is a classically trained Latvian American painter. In this episode, we have a conversation about her classical education in art, how she ended up in America, some of the differences between American and European culture, how she learned to market herself, and her work to help revitalize downtown Tyler, Texas, and bring an art scene to East Texas. I hope you'll join me as we now go and meet Dace Kidd. So if you can just tell us who you are and a little bit about what you do to start it off.
Sure, Isaac. My name is Dace Kidd, Dacekidd. Usually people ask me to spell it out.
Yeah.
Because they're like, what is your name? And I'm from Latvia. That's Dace is quite common name for girls in Latvia, but a lot of English speakers find it a little bit challenging to pronounce. So I never get upset if somebody says it wrong. It took 3 years for my husband to get it right. But I am a classically trained artist, and I've been living in States now over 10 years, and I do a lot of painting. So, and I also a commercial artist. So I do a lot of commission artwork, which is also things like public art, site-specific art, murals, installations. I also occasionally curate art shows. I think it's part of the art environment in Tyler, because we don't have many opportunities or galleries to show your artwork, or kind of gallerists or curators that can do that for you.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of artists are like me are, okay, let's have an art show. Let's put an event together. So
Pretty DIY.
Exactly. And that's what I do. I have great time curating one of the art exhibit spaces downtown at the Arcadia Theater, which is the Martin Walker law firm headquarters.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you have been there. It's really cool place.
I haven't been in there. I do a lot of work downtown and stuff, though. I'm a window washer on the side. So.
Oh, nice. Hey, I know a lot about it. I'm probably not as good as you, because one of my little side gigs, I paint windows.
Yeah.
And that literally started as a crazy thing for Christmas 5 years ago.
Yeah.
I was painting windows for Village Bakery, and Tyler Paper showed up and did an article about me doing, and literally next day my phone was ringing crazy, and I was like, oh no, now I'll have to do all these businesses.
Now I've created work for myself.
And I have never done it. Well, this is kind of my attitude. Even though I studied art in my home country in Latvia, I went to art academy there, and previously I attended secondary school that was very into the arts and learning classic portrait painting and figurative painting. And then I went and lived for 2 years in Italy and studied painting there. But to me it was like, doing something different, how bad it can be. And also, hey, it's going to help to pay my bills. But again, I had to literally YouTube that, how to paint the windows, because kind of paint is pretty straightforward medium to me. But doing this for now almost 18 years, you know this. There's all about these little tricks. Mm-hmm. If you know that, it's going to be so much better and easier. So yes, one of the things I remember spending a whole day watching a window washing videos, and then practicing with the squeegee, the S curves, and everything until I figure out, okay, this is. I love this. I'm the fastest doing this, and this is the best way.
Yeah. No, it usually takes, like when I started, probably took a week before my boss was happy with my squeegee work and everything. So it takes a lot of practice. and I've got a lot of experience scraping off the paintings on
Oh,
the window.
you probably have scrapes on mine.
So you mentioned like your history with art. I kind of want to go back. Like, when did you first decide to be an artist?
That's a really good question because it's always really hard for me to answer because I really decided this to be a choice of my career when I was 15, 16, because I just realized that I have been doing art since I was 3, 4 years old. I had asthma when I was a kid, and my parents decided to enroll me into art school just because I couldn't, like my brothers, play soccer or rugby, no ice hockey for me. And so they just like, here, let's keep her busy. And so I started art school for kids when I was six and literally did it forever, never stopped. And so when I had an opportunity to decide where I'm going after graduating a middle school, had given opportunity to try to pass exams and go to this very prestigious upper secondary school for arts. It's quite common in Europe that they have schools for if you already after middle school kind of have idea that you want to go into trade or a creative profession, be a musician, be a dancer, be an artist, being a carpenter, being a chef, they already have special schools where you can already obtain a degree that's almost is as good as bachelor degree.
Yeah.
And usually for most people that's done, and you don't even need to you're not required to go to college. You can go into your field. And so I was really kind of looking into it. My all family is very much science, physics, economy. So I always was the black sheep. They knew, oh yeah, she's
gonna be starving.
Yes, exactly. But oddly enough, my parents always supported me and encouraged to be creative. So my middle school teacher told me that I would never make as an artist. So that was the end of it. I started studying really, really hard to get into this art school, and it happened. And after, it was just so much fun. It was like being around like-minded kids that all were into art and want to get better, and that led me to go to college in Latvia on full scholarship. So, and it was a lot of fun, and that's where I also got really lazy because it gave me I was like the smarty pants, because I felt like I know all this already. I have done this 8 million times, and
so I got a question. I get kind of what goes through art classes and stuff, but what would you learn in like a classically trained art college?
For instance, if the art college I attended, it had different departments. For instance, I was part of the painting department. There's also sculpture, printmaking, fashion design, visual media, everything you can think of. So for me as a painter, my day looked like I had to paint for 3 hours every day, and that meant showing up at the studio in a college and painting a nude model, or a portrait. So, and then you were drawing the same thing, a model for 2 hours, and then you had compositional classes where you were asked to come up with idea for a painting or a drawing, and come up with your own idea and style. It involves a lot of creative work.
Yeah. So you mentioned your own style. So how would you describe the art you do?
Well, I think my style is very eclectic because I'm very, at this very particular moment, enjoy putting together several different styles. So I use a lot of minimalism and also pop art and some techniques from Impressionism. And so to me, it's really hard to kind of just
Pin
down
Yeah.
it on something else. But also, if I'm doing a commission piece and somebody's requiring it to be just in a very straightforward realism, I do that. Or they wanted something that looks like it was made into 50s
Yeah.
and very much abstract expressionism. I really enjoy doing it. I just think one of the reasons why I become an artist, I'm a art junkie. It's like I like it all as long as it's good.
So what makes art good?
That is really good question, and I don't really. I think the good art is that triggers your like that. I think there. I can't remember where I read this, but the good art always has that makes you go, and then, wow.
Yeah.
If it makes you go, wow, and then, it's not good.
Yeah. So do you think that's like something like artists could learn, like a person who's into art or whatever, they can learn what that is? Or do you think that's just kind of an innate thing with somebody?
I think those are both. I think that there are people very gifted. I think I always like to think of the musicians. There's somebody with a perfect pitch and a full range, and for them it's easy. They're like, oh, but there are some people that work hard and they get there. And I think with because in the end, art is a language. So it's like. You can learn Chinese, and I bet you can get fluent at it. So I think that's I think it's very true when you hear somebody says art is for everyone and everybody, and I agree because if you study it and make it your passion or get involved in it, you can really. I don't know, sky's the limit. It's kind of like you can have a lot of fun with it.
If you surround yourself with something, you're going to absorb it, kind of.
Exactly,
idea.
yes.
Yeah. So going back into the history, so you said you went to Italy for a while. How
Yes.
did that come about?
Well, in Europe, a lot of colleges that are in the same field, they do exchange programs. So I was writing a grant to go to this college in France. And my professor at that time decided, oh, wait a second, this new college in Sicily, in Palermo, just joined the program. And how about instead of going to France, you go to Italy? Because you have dark eyes and brown hair. You look like Italian. You're going to just fit in perfectly. And I already started studying some French, and I'm like, what? But I thought, Sicily, Palermo, that sounds really cool and very exotic. And I'm like, okay, whatever, let's go. So 3 weeks later, I'm on a plane, and I arrived in Sicily, in Palermo, and I realized really quickly how Italy is basically a country in the country. It's very much like, I think, United States. Texas is very different from New
yeah.
York, and almost, I would say, out of 50 professors I had, only two spoke English. So they all spoke Spanish or French because it was South. They were more attuned to the Southern European cultures instead of the Northern. And so I had to literally really quickly start learning Italian because I knew literally just buongiorno, la pizza, and la pasta. So I was not
Well,
starving.
isn't that all you need?
But it was a real bummer when I really realized I don't understand what the people are talking around me, and I cannot join the conversation. It was just like you're just shut out. You are
Yeah.
like a fly on the wall, and everything's around happening you, and you're just okay.
So, how quickly did you learn Italian?
It took me 3 months to understand. And after 9 months, I could speak it fairly fluently.
Yeah. Just
Yes.
immersion and survival.
Yes, I rented a room in an apartment with other Italian students, so I didn't had excuse to speak English with anyone. And it was just, there were days when my head was hurting, like, I can't take it anymore.
Yeah.
But it really taught me that it's about your brain rewiring itself, and then it's like magical. You're like, suddenly you're in a restaurant and you overhear the conversation and you know what they're talking about. It's
Yeah.
like,
You've unlocked the puzzle.
yes, it's like you guess the combination and all the treasure is yours.
Yeah. So, we're going to go from Italy to Texas. How did that pan out?
So, while I was moving to Italy from Latvia, and again, this is time-wise 14 years ago.
Yeah.
So there was not really Facebook. There were a couple websites for artists, and I was very eager to publish my art and get the feedback. I was intrigued, what people are thinking, and see it. So I joined this artist community, and I happened to make friends really quickly because I love one of the things you could probably tell, I'm very influenced by other artists. And so it was really important for me to look what other people are doing, especially people that I like, and exchange and then collaborate. So I made a couple friends, and one of the first people I spoke quite often was this photographer in Australia. And he told me, hey, I have this friend in United States that just wrote a foreword to my book. He did really good job, and he wants to get an art critique, and how about if he wrote art critique about your paintings? And I was like, wow, this is so amazing. Somebody professionally will review my work. And so I said, okay, I'm in. Let's do it. So a couple weeks go by, and I get this email from this gentleman from United States that reviews my art. And it's very insightful, very kind of flattering. I was like, wow, this is very cool. Except one thing was wrong about it. All the pronouns in the critique were male. his ideas, his brushstrokes. So I had to respond and just say, hey, thank you so much for your time and insightfulness, but don't you think people will take you more seriously as an art critic if you have got the gender of the artist correct? Like, have you done any research? Question. Well, later on, I realized that I was basically getting to know my future husband. And he did not know that this critique will be forwarded to me, and that so when he got my response, it totally took him by the surprise.
Yeah.
And he just was spitting his morning coffee all over his computer, and he had to write me back saying, you cannot possibly be a girl. You do not do chick art. So just adding sexism on top of his ignorance. So that's how we met, and we became good pen friends because I learned that James was living in Texas, and that kind of enforced the stereotype that everybody in Texas are arrogant and very ballsy. So we stayed in touch while I was living in Italy because I was, this is good opportunity for me to improve my English and keep discovering and being friends with a lot of these artists all over the world. So when I graduated my school in Italy, I had a really good client. I worked with an architecture firm, and I was doing commission paintings for their developments. One of the things I worked on was this boutique hotel, and so they really paid me well for the paintings. I was thrilled, yes, and it was time for me to go back to Latvia. It kind of reset, and my next trip was going to Germany. But I was thinking, what would be most exotic place to visit that none of my friends have been to? And then I thought, Texas, because it was so interesting that I would all the time hear about interesting things and Marfa in Texas and all the art museums in Fort Worth and Houston. And so I was thinking that would be a fun trip, but this would be great to call my friend James and see if he can be a tour guide. If not, I'll go somewhere else. You know? And I was really surprised. James agreed. So I showed up, and first thing he does, he takes me to a Mexican food restaurant. And I was like, oh my God, this is so good. I have never had anything like this. Yeah, Mexican food.
What kind of Mexican food restaurant?
Okay, it was the original El Phoenix, downtown Dallas.
Oh, okay.
So very Tex-Mex, and since then I don't discriminate. I like authentic and Tex-Mex both, and salsa is my favorite thing. If they don't look, I eat it with a spoon.
So Texas didn't disappoint you with its exoticness.
So I really enjoyed it, and then during my visit, James took me to his favorite city in Texas, which was New Orleans. So that gave it away for me that I thought there's something fishy about this guy. He's trying me to impress me with completely different state and big party city. And we had a blast. And that's when we decided to get together and had long distance relationship because I did not wanted to move to States. I was like, no, I really liked my life in Europe, and still my career was doing good, and I was had like so many things I still wanted to do there, but because James was in oil industry, and he couldn't just go move with me to Italy and
Yeah.
get pump some oil. I had to give in, and I moved here to Texas, and I've been living in Tyler for almost 10 years, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. So what would you say are the biggest differences between living here and your home country or any of the other countries in Europe?
Oh my gosh, the first thing when I came to visit, I said was, "Oh, I now know why you all have cars." It literally, especially here in Texas, everything is so spread out because you have the luxury of having so much land. And I had to, when I moved here, I had to learn to drive because car was just it was a disadvantage. It was it's so expensive in Europe to own a car because especially in city, it's like nobody has a car in New York City.
Yeah.
There's public transportation, and then you have to pay for parking, for garage and everything, fuel. Oh, it's a lot.
Yeah.
But so that was definitely the getting around. So you can't do anything if you don't have a car here.
Yeah,
Pretty
it's
much.
Pretty hard.
The other thing, I don't know. I feel like Tyler has still long ways to go to get so you can get a good coffee here.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Hard to find good coffee.
Like in Europe, it doesn't matter whether you're in restaurant, cafe, little bistro, 4-star restaurant. They all have amazing coffee. Here, no.
No. Not even like a small coffee shop or something.
You have, well, there's some small coffee shops, so there's exceptions, but it's like if you go to a restaurant and they have espresso machine, that is literally a miracle. Yes. So I was like, yeah, that Mexican food here, that's going for you. Coffee, not so much.
What else do we have going or not going for us?
Well, I think, especially about Texas, I think is the southern hospitality. Because my country, Latvia, it's the same latitude as Maine, and there's very much a northern mentality. They are really nice people, but they would never just start a conversation with you while waiting in a grocery line. Everybody are busy in their own world, looking at their shoes or looking at their phone. But here it's like you're at Brookshire's and suddenly you have 5 new friends.
Yeah.
Yes. So
was that like a good thing for you when you came here, or was that something you had a hard time adjusting to?
It was very weird but I really instantly loved it because that was what I so much enjoyed when I was living in Sicily, because to me that was the same kind of extended mirror image of that. People in South are just, because I guess more vitamin D, more sun.
Yeah.
They're just more open and more happy, and they have that joy de vivre that they want to just talk and do stuff, and nobody's a stranger. And
so would you say that Europe is like similar to the States, like where you have like different states are kind of like their own country?
Yes.
You've got like a different personality.
Yes,
between them?
Definitely. I think that's, I think everybody, we have all those stereotypes for a reason. When we think of Germany, that everybody are always on time and very serious. Yes, that's true. And, French people, very flamboyant and always late and all. Yes.
So I guess if you want to talk about like some things you've started doing here in Tyler and stuff, this would be a good time. Like,
Definitely.
I guess, how did you first get your start doing art in Tyler? Like, how hard was that for you?
You know, it's great question, and it was really challenging because when I moved here, I was really trying to think, hey, this is really new chapter in my life. I know that I want to still do art, but I had no idea what it actually will become. I was still trying to work with some of my clients and gallerists in Europe until it was really not just possible financially because of the shipping costs and taxes. That was first thing that went, and I realized I'm just going to start from the beginning. I just have to start and find my clients and market here. And I realized that there's no art galleries in Tyler. There's a couple consignment galleries, but there's really no way, and there's no place where to go and say, hey, let's do it. So I got pretty desperate.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, let's see how this game works. And first thing, I decided to get my name out. So I put some of my paintings in restaurants like Bernard's and Currents, and so people would start seeing my name and organize pop-up art events. Just putting some, like you see, just paintings on easels and free cocktails and all that stuff. And because at that time I didn't had enough time to go to Dallas and try to get a spot in that market, and I realized that it's really hard it always reminded me of thinking that one of my professors said, you have to try first to make it where you are, and then you can branch it out. So I kept just doing more things in Tyler, and part of it that really helped me was joining and doing a lot of philanthropy work and charity, donating art, because to me that's a very important facet of Tyler. This community is very much about charity, donating, and helping. So that really exposed my work to a lot more people that I was able to reach before with my art. And so I did a lot of light paintings for cattle barons and things like that. And also it was very big learning curve, and gave me a good challenge, because I think it's always, I'm one of those people that I need some friction, I need a pushback. Because I was like, where do you go in Tyler and meet people? Because this is very cliquish community. But once you meet somebody, you're like, it's like a spider web. You really quickly know everybody, and everybody knows you, and so. But I was, one of the things that I felt like I was lacking was the marketing abilities. I do not know how it's here in art college system in States, but none of my colleges included marketing class.
Yeah.
So it was really frightening to me, and really not my cup of tea to go and sell myself.
Yeah.
Because I was spoiled. I had somebody do it for me, and especially I think that's another thing. The difference between United States and Europe is this is capitalism, and this is about selling stuff.
Yeah.
So you just look, the best marketing, Coca-Cola, McDonald's, Nike, this is all invented here.
Yeah.
Nobody knows about some soft drink brand from Italy. No, it's Coca-Cola everywhere, and it's beautiful. And so that's kind of sets that tone and the bar that you need to be more aggressive, just I think in Europe, if you would approach somebody and say, "Hey, look at my paintings," don't people will think you're rude or you're crazy.
Yeah.
They were like, next. But here, people, that's what they're used to.
Yeah.
If you don't approach them and say, "Hey, my name is da da da. This is what I do. Here's my portfolio," they're like, "Well, where's your sales pitch? What else you got
Yeah.
for me? Will you give me some cookies? Great. I'm buying your stuff." Yes. And my husband really helped me with that because he has a marketing agency, and he was like, "Okay, I used to have a really heavy accent." So he was like, "Okay,
We gotta get rid of that.
people actually need to understand what you're saying. Number
Yeah.
one." And so he always tells me, "You're in South, so you had to speak low and slowly, like imagine like you're a granny." People love that. And I tried it, and really, it worked. It was like
Really?
magic. I was like, this is what I have been missing all this time.
Yeah.
But so it's been a lot of fun doing the charity work, supporting a lot of good causes. Also, early on when I moved here, I got involved with groups and nonprofits that focuses on revitalization of the downtown Tyler, because that was one thing that when I came and visited Tyler, even before moving here, the downtown looked really sad. I
Yeah.
was like, this looks like this place just got bombed.
Yeah. There's a lot of brutalist buildings
Yes,
downtown.
and always, and that's also European mentality. Downtown is always the heart of the city.
Mhm.
It's where the action happens, where the culture is, where you when you go downtown, you have a certain expectations, and you kind of know that it is a place you want to be and visit and spend time. But when I came to Tyler, I was like, well, here's the Tyler Theater that I saw when I Googled Tyler,
Yeah.
Texas, but it looks really sad. So I volunteered at the Civic Gallery and the Main Street Department, and worked with. I still do a lot of projects also with Liberty Theater. I paint their windows. I did the latest one that in support of Ukraine, and so I have volunteered many times for the Heart of Tyler that does a lot of charity work to help maintain our downtown. And so that's also, it was so amazing to me when the lawyers that Martin Walker that redid the Arcadia Theater, they invited me to host art events there in their law firm, in their upstairs gallery. That was like, this is amazing. This is just so great that I was having all these opportunities to do and showcase my art and also help other artists, because one of my first art shows was one of the art walks in November, and I was on the sidewalk and I was thinking, this sucks. I'm never doing this again, because I was really spoiled. I was always showing at art galleries and big art shows and art markets, and now I'm in this little town in Texas
Standing on the corner.
and I'm freezing with no decent coffee. This is some really bad karma. And so I thought, okay, this is just so going great. And I thought hosting art shows for other artists will hopefully, they will not to do all the hard things I had.
Yeah.
And so one of the things I do every year at Mar Walker, I host this International Juried Arcade Art Show. It stands for ASH. This is actually, I'm wearing one of the old T-shirts. And I just opened the call a couple days ago, and there's already people submitting it. A lot of my patrons donate money to it, and local businesses as well. So there's cash prizes for best in show and runner-up, and this event usually attracts around 100 to 50 to 200 people that come to the opening, and it's a big party.
Where would people find out about that at
If they could just Google or go to the website Art Show Tyler.
Oh, okay. And you'll just find it
yes,
there?
It's so through the website you can read all about what it takes to enter all the guidelines, and you can also submit your artwork through online, so you can do it all from sofa.
Yeah. So when would you say you felt like you finally made it here? Or was there a point?
Oh, yes. I remember that day. We were downtown, my husband and we were walking on Irvin Street, and they just have installed these silver solar-powered trash cans. Mm-hmm. And my art was on one of them. I was like, yes!
Now you're a successful artist.
Yes. And the second moment, last year when the COVID was in May, City of Tyler Public Transportation approached me and asked me to paint windows for one of their buses. Mm-hmm. They wanted to have animals that hold and read books.
Oh, I've seen that. I don't know how many times I've seen that bus.
They were doing an event at the library, and so the whole idea was they were giving a free ride to kids to go to the reading summer camp.
Yeah.
So, and literally the whole idea was that bus will be up for maybe 4 weeks, 6 weeks, and then those animals are still there. It's been like 15 months. I think, yes. I know with the trash can and the bus, I know I have made it.
Yeah. Well, first thing I knew from you was that mural you did downtown. It's like a extreme close-up of like a woman's face with the roses in the eyes.
Yes.
Yeah. Actually, we had in my web design class, we had to do a website on an artist, and a girl in my class did about your stuff. So that's where I figured out about it. So
very cool. Yes, that is definitely like a milestone, because that was the first mural that I did that is on Broadway. Mm-hmm. And it was one thing I always kind of was aware. I'm really bad at winning contests. That's literally, I'm horrible, because I always like to kind of test the limits and push it. And I realize that always, especially with public art, it's usually something that's not
more
a straight,
digestible.
Yes, not as straightforward. It's more like, yes, mainstream, which is nothing wrong with it, but it's more everything has its place. So when I submitted this design for this contest for Fair Foundation Building, when they picked it, I was like, I can't believe it. that was so really weird. And also at that time, that was the biggest thing I have ever done, and so it was really thrilling to do that. And now it seems it's been now 5 years and it's still there, because it was designed to be there maybe 2-3 years, and then all that was where the wall is, that was meant to be eventually a storefront.
Oh, really?
Yes, the building but the company that purchased the building now is reselling it, so we'll see what happens to the mural.
Yeah.
But
See if it lasts another 5 years.
yes, but I think it's become quite a Tyler landmark, and that was never a plan. I was just like, here's a sketch of eyes of my friend. I hope
Yeah.
you like it. And so it one of the things that opened a door for me, and I think it kind of all blended with the situation where we see so much that murals has become kind of big trend. And I never thought that I'm going to be pursuing murals.
Yeah.
It was very much like, okay, well, like the window painting. I was like, well, it's like the painting, but it's just bigger.
Yeah.
So it's and I quickly realized that I really like it because it's very different in a way from the painting, because no project is alike. You have to consider, and by definition is almost a collaboration, because most of these projects are commission pieces. So somebody's saying, oh, I want a puppy dog or a big American flag. And then you have to figure out the surface and everything. And so it's very much a problem solving task. And again, I really get a buzz from figuring out how I'm gonna get on this awning that's 15 feet high.
Yeah.
and how I'm gonna get all my paint there, and the ladder, and how it's all eventually will be happening. Because it's you never think of those problems when you are doing something that's 20 inches by 40. Never.
Yeah.
Yes. So that Eyes of Tyler kind of my phone started ringing, people asking, can you come paint my building? Can you do this for me? And it's been nonstop. 2 years ago, I kind of decided to start even a separate brand for my murals, and I started a website and a social media account that is under Mural Artist TX.
Okay, yeah.
So because it was very kind of, when I wanted to show potential clients or people like just my mural work, I didn't want it to mix with my paintings too much. So it became kind of even more professional, I think. But I not necessarily divide my art from my mural work. And but I think that really kind of help people to like even find me through Google. So since then, I have done a lot of work in Dallas, Plano. Just last week, I was in Rogers, Texas. It's a little town hour away from Austin. Last year, I did 2 really big projects in Longview, which was, again, I can't believe this was a contest by City of Longview, and they picked 2 of my designs to do 2 big murals that were funded by the state and city and private donors. And I had opportunity to paint this largest hand-painted mural in Texas.
That's pretty impressive.
Yes, it was 40 feet high and 130 feet long, and it took 3 months. And
wow.
And its pictures don't do justice. So if you ever in Longview, go downtown across from the post office. So it's all those things have been very exciting.
Yeah. So what would you say, like, your creative process is? Like, how do you get inspiration? Do you listen to like a lot of music, or just look at art mostly, or?
You know, it's everything, because I think like because I have been doing art since very early age, it's almost to me like second nature. Mm-hmm. I can be inspired by a song. I can be inspired by another painting or an image I see on Facebook, things like that. So I never know, and I honestly don't think about it much. I just try to kind of whatever triggers some emotions, and I'm like, oh, let's do this. This can
Yeah.
be fun.
Well, thank you very much for sitting down and letting me have this interview with you. If people want to find you, where could they find you at?
The easiest would be looking up my website, which is my name, dacekid.com or muralartisttx.com, and they can see some of my art there and contact me, and also go to my social media accounts and follow me and see what I do every day.
Okay, thank you very much for
Thank
sitting
you.
down with me and letting me in your cool house.
Absolutely.